strange-looking animal. 3 hearts, blue blood, gills, and this entire body is covered in these remarkable color-changing cells.
Do you know there is a creature in the ocean that can recognize human faces, plan escapes, and remember revenge for weeks? It has 8 arms that think independently, a mind spread through its body, and instincts sharp enough to hunt sharks and outsmart traps. It does not just survive the deep, it understands it, and once you learn how it thinks, the ocean will never feel empty again. The shadow in the deep. The water was freezing cold and completely black. A marine scientist was filming a documentary off Vancouver Island in British Columbia when something grabbed him from behind. He never saw it coming. One moment, he was focused on his camera, and the next moment, 8 powerful arms were wrapped around his chest, his head, and his breathing equipment. The suckers locked onto his bare forehead with a grip that would leave bruises lasting an entire week. For 3 terrifying minutes, he fought for his life in the darkness. The creature pulled at his mask until it ripped away from his face. It tugged at his hood until it was halfway off his head. Cold seawater flooded into his dry suit as he struggled desperately to keep his breathing regulator in place. His air supply was draining fast. His dive partner could only watch in horror as the man wrestled with something that seemed to have emerged from a nightmare. When he finally broke free and reached the surface, the researchers who studied the footage made a chilling observation. They wrote in their scientific paper that if he had lost his regulator, or if he had been low on air, he would have undoubtedly died. This was not a monster from ancient mythology. This was not a creature from science fiction. This was a giant Pacific octopus, and attacks like this one have been documented multiple times in the cold waters of the North Pacific. The giant Pacific octopus carries the scientific name Enteroctopus dofleini. It was first formally described in 1910 by a German zoologist named Gerhard Wulcker, who named it after Franz Theodor Döflein, a celebrated scientist who had conducted major expeditions to Japan in the early 1900s. But long before Western scientists gave it a Latin name, the indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest had their own names and their own stories about this creature that stretched back centuries. The Tlingit people call it Na'aku.
This octopus has roughly 270 suckers per arm.
The Kwakwakawaku know it as Janius. In their traditions, the octopus is not simply an animal. It is a being with power over weather itself, a servant of Kumugwe, who is the chief of the undersea world, and a symbol of tremendous wealth. But one story stands above all others, and it has been passed down for approximately 400 years among the Chukanayde clan of the Tlingit people. According to this ancient narrative, a giant Na'aku once made its home near present-day Glacier Bay in Alaska. This was no ordinary octopus. It was enormous beyond imagination, and it was hungry. For generations, it terrorized the Chukanayde people. It would rise from the depths without warning and swamp their canoes. It would wrap its arms around warriors and drag them into the darkness below. So many died that the entire clan faced extinction. Then a hero emerged. His name was Ka Kuch, and he was guided by the porpoise people who knew the secrets of the underwater realm. The story tells how Ka Kuch confronted the monster in its lair and finally defeated it, saving his people from annihilation. The Chukanayde earned the right to bear the devilfish as their clan crest, and the geographic legacy of this battle persists to this day. There is a place in southeastern Alaska still called Devilfish Bay, named in memory of the creature that nearly destroyed an entire people. Modern science has revealed that some of the most terrifying aspects of these legends might not be exaggerations at all. Tracking studies conducted by Dr. David Scheel of Alaska Pacific University discovered something remarkable about how these animals hunt. A giant Pacific octopus remains completely still and hidden for 94% of its waking hours. It is not sleeping. It is not resting. It is waiting with a patience that seems almost supernatural. And when prey finally ventures close enough, The transformation from motionless shadow to explosive predator happens in less than a single second.
With 8 arms to hold you, you probably wouldn't want to wrestle an octopus. Biologist Tammy DeWitt explains why.
Scientists have documented 5 distinct hunting strategies that these creatures employ. The most common is pure ambush, where the octopus disguises itself so perfectly against the rocky sea floor that it becomes completely invisible until the moment it strikes. There is also something called the web-over technique, where the octopus spreads its arm web like a massive parachute over an area of sea floor and traps everything underneath. They probe deep into crevices using chemical sensors that can taste prey hidden in total darkness. And research published in 2024 revealed something even more unsettling. These animals can actually track invisible chemical trails through the water. Following the scent of prey, they cannot see to its source. But the hunting strategies are only part of what makes this animal so extraordinary. Beneath its color-changing skin lies a biological architecture so alien that it challenges everything we thought we knew about how complex life can be organized. The giant's domain. There are stories of specimens so large they seem impossible. Fishermen speak of octopuses weighing 600 pounds, with arms stretching 30 feet from tip to tip. If true, this would make them among the largest invertebrates ever to exist on Earth. But when scientists investigated these claims, they discovered something interesting. A major study from 2015 examined the evidence and concluded that this legendary giant specimen was never actually collected and weighed. The measurement remains unverified to this day. The largest giant Pacific octopus that scientists have actually weighed, while it was still alive, came in at 157 pounds, with a body length of about 11 feet. Historical records from the 1930s include a photograph of a specimen weighing 210 pounds. The Monterey Bay Aquarium reports their heaviest recorded individual at 200 pounds, with an arm span of nearly 20 feet. These confirmed measurements are smaller than the legends suggest, but they are still extraordinary by any standard. The average adult weighs around 33 pounds with arms stretching 14 feet across. Larger individuals regularly exceed 100 pounds. To understand just how remarkable this size is, consider where these animals start their lives. When a giant Pacific octopus hatches from its egg, it weighs just 0.03 grams. That is roughly the size and weight of a single grain of rice. By the time it reaches adulthood a few years later, it will have increased its body weight by somewhere between 660,000 and 1,330,000 times. If a human baby grew at this same rate, a 7-pound newborn would eventually weigh more than 4 million pounds. No other large animal on Earth grows this fast. The range of these animals extends across the entire North Pacific Ocean. They live along the rocky coastlines from California, all the way up through Alaska, across the frigid Bering Sea to the far eastern shores of Russia.
They're able to grab onto you so hard that occasionally they really like you.
And down toward the waters surrounding Japan and Korea. They occupy an astonishing range of depths. Some live in the intertidal zone where waves crash against the rocks. Others have been found at depths exceeding 6,600 feet below the surface, in waters of perpetual darkness where sunlight never reaches. Each of the 8 arms is lined with rows of powerful suckers. Research has documented individual suckers measuring more than 2.5 inches across, with each one capable of holding 35 pounds of weight on its own. A single arm can have 280 suckers, and the entire animal has between 1,600 and 2,240 of them working together. Scientists have calculated that the theoretical maximum adhesion capacity of all those suckers combined approaches 56,000 pounds. Studies have also shown that octopus arms can pull approximately 100 times the animal's own body weight. A 40-pound octopus could theoretically pull with a force of 4,000 pounds. Perhaps even more remarkable is what happens when an octopus loses an arm. It simply grows a new one. The regeneration follows a precise schedule. Wound healing occurs during the first 3 days, and within 100 to 130 days, the arm is fully regenerated and functional. 1/3 of a limb can regrow in just 6 weeks, but size and strength alone cannot explain why this animal dominates its environment. The real secret lies hidden inside a body plan that evolved along a completely different path from every other intelligent creature on Earth. Alien biology. 3 hearts beat inside every giant Pacific octopus. 2 of them are called branchial hearts, and they sit on either side of the gills. Their job is to pump deoxygenated blood through the gill tissue so it can absorb oxygen from the surrounding water. The 3rd heart is called the systemic heart, and it takes this freshly oxygenated blood and pumps it throughout the rest of the body. A cluster of nerve cells near the systemic heart acts as a natural pacemaker, coordinating the rhythm so that the branchial hearts contract together first, followed immediately by the systemic heart. Here is where the octopus body becomes truly strange. Whenever the animal swims using jet propulsion, the systemic heart stops beating completely. The pressure required in the mantle cavity to push water out and propel the body forward is so extreme that it physically prevents the main heart from contracting. This creates a progressive oxygen debt that builds up throughout the body tissues. This is why octopuses get exhausted very quickly when they swim fast, and why they strongly prefer to crawl along the seafloor whenever possible. Crawling allows all 3 hearts to keep beating normally. The blood flowing through those hearts is not red like ours. It is a deep and striking blue. This color comes from a molecule called hemocyanin, which was first discovered in octopuses by a scientist named Leon Frederick back in 1878. While our blood uses iron atoms to carry oxygen, octopus blood uses copper atoms instead. Under normal conditions, this copper-based blood carries only about 1/4 as much oxygen as human blood can carry. This sounds like a major disadvantage, but the cold waters of the deep Pacific flip this equation entirely. In frigid, low-oxygen environments, copper actually binds oxygen more readily than iron does. Research on Antarctic octopuses showed that their blood can bind oxygen 1.4 to 4.2 times more efficiently than warm water species.
You look at a fish or a whale or a dolphin or any of these much more advanced vertebrates.
Evolution has fine-tuned the chemistry at the molecular level. Now we come to the feature of octopus biology that baffles scientists more than any other: the nervous system. The giant Pacific octopus contains approximately 500 million neurons, which is roughly comparable to the 600 million neurons found in a dog. But the way these neurons are distributed is unlike anything else in the animal kingdom. Only 8 to 10% of those neurons, which amounts to 40 to 50 million, are located in the central brain that sits between the eyes. Another 24 to 36% sit in the 2 optic lobes that process visual information. The remaining 60 to 70% of all neurons, a staggering 300 to 350 million of them, are distributed throughout the 8 arms. Each arm contains approximately 40 million neurons. Each individual sucker has a ganglion containing around 130,000 neurons, plus up to 10,000 dedicated sensory neurons. The arms are not just appendages controlled by a central brain. They are thinking organs in their own right. A discovery in 2020 from Harvard University found an entirely new type of sensory cell in octopus suckers called chemotactile receptors. These cells are unlike any sensory receptor found in any other animal on Earth. They can detect molecules that are stuck to surfaces and do not dissolve easily in water, effectively creating a detailed taste map of everything the octopus touches. A follow-up study in 2024 showed that octopuses can even detect the microbiomes living on different surfaces, allowing them to distinguish healthy prey from decaying prey based on bacterial signatures alone. The octopus has developed a form of distributed intelligence that has no parallel anywhere else in the animal kingdom. But this 9-brained nervous system is only one part of a body that seems designed to defy explanation. The skin covering that body can do something that should be completely impossible. The living camouflage. The skin of a giant Pacific octopus contains approximately 230 specialized cells called chromatophores in every single square millimeter. Each one of these tiny structures is an extraordinarily complex neuromuscular organ. At the center sits a small sac filled with pigment, measuring only about 10 micrometers across when fully contracted. Surrounding this sac are 15 to 25 tiny muscle fibers arranged in a radial pattern like the spokes of a wheel. When these muscles contract, they stretch the pigment sac outward into a flattened disc that can reach 300 micrometers in diameter. This represents a 30-fold change in size, and it happens under direct neural control in mere milliseconds.
Scientists have told the BBC that the proposed way of slaughtering the octopuses in icy water is inhumane.
The chromatophores are just the top layer of a three-part system. Beneath them sits a layer of cells called iridophores, which contain stacks of thin plates filled with a reflective protein called reflectin. These plates produce shimmering, iridescent colors through the physics of thin film interference, generating greens, blues, silvers, and golds that the chromatophores cannot produce. At the very bottom lies a third layer of cells called leucophores, which contain spherical structures that scatter white light and provide a bright backdrop that modulates the intensity of all the colors above. The speed of color change in an octopus is almost impossible to believe until you see it happen. A complete color shift can occur in under 100 milliseconds, which is faster than a human eye can blink. More complex transformations that involve simultaneous changes to color, brightness, contrast, pattern, and three-dimensional texture can happen in approximately 200 milliseconds.
Ancestor of the octopi. It's like these creatures were brought here in their entirety and put into our oceans.
This is possible because motor neurons run directly from the color control centers in the brain straight to the muscles, without any intermediate connections to slow things down. Here is where the mystery deepens into something that science still cannot fully explain. Giant Pacific octopuses appear to be completely colorblind. They possess only one type of photoreceptor in their eyes, which should make it impossible for them to perceive different colors at all. Yet, they match the colors of their surroundings with remarkable precision. How can a colorblind animal produce perfect color camouflage? Scientists have proposed two fascinating theories. The first focuses on the unusual shape of octopus pupils. Instead of round pupils like most animals have, octopus pupils are often shaped like a U, a W, or a dumbbell. These strange shapes actually maximize something called chromatic aberration, which means that different colors of light focus at slightly different distances from the lens. By moving their retinas forward or backward, octopuses might be able to tell which color is currently in sharp focus, effectively allowing them to detect colors without needing multiple photoreceptor types. The second theory is even more extraordinary. Research has discovered that octopus skin itself contains light-sensitive proteins called rhodopsins, which are the exact same proteins that detect light in eyes. Scientists found that isolated patches of skin respond directly to light even when completely disconnected from the brain and eyes. The skin is particularly sensitive to blue light at a wavelength of 480 nanometers. A study published in 2025 documented neural responses to light stimulation directly in octopus arms, showing that the arm nervous system responds with distinctive patterns when exposed to light. The octopus may literally see with its entire body. This mastery of disguise serves a clear purpose. The giant Pacific octopus is one of the most efficient predators in the ocean. And among the prey it hunts, there is one animal that seems like it should be the predator instead. The night hunter. Something strange was happening at the Seattle Aquarium in the year 2000. Spiny dogfish sharks kept dying, and nobody could figure out why. These were healthy sharks, 3 to 4 feet long, with sharp teeth and venomous defensive spines on their backs. They should have been safe in their tank, but morning after morning, staff would find another shark carcass with no obvious explanation for its death. The aquarium installed hidden cameras and waited. What the footage revealed shocked everyone who watched it. After the lights went out and the building went quiet, a giant Pacific octopus weighing between 40 and 50 pounds would emerge from hiding. It would flow across the tank floor like a living shadow, its skin constantly shifting to match the rocks beneath it. Then it would strike. The octopus would envelop the shark completely with its arms and the webbing between them. Suckers capable of holding 35 pounds each would lock onto the struggling fish from every direction.
The aquarium staff learned something new about the octopi. There was a danger in the tank, all right.
Dogfish sharks need water constantly flowing over their gills to breathe. The moment they stop moving, they start suffocating. Wrapped in the grip of those 8 arms, the sharks could not move at all. Once the struggle stopped, the octopus would deliver killing bites with a beak powerful enough to crack through shell and bone. Venom in its saliva would begin digesting the prey before the meal was even fully consumed. Wild predation on sharks is absolutely confirmed. Scientists studying octopus dens in the wild have found shark remains in the middens, which are the piles of shells and bones that accumulate outside the entrance. The octopuses are hunting sharks in the open ocean with no human assistance at all. Sharks are not the only unexpected prey. On March 24, 2012, an amateur photographer named Ginger Morneau was walking along Ogden Point breakwater in Victoria, British Columbia, when she noticed a seagull behaving strangely. It appeared to be pecking at something just below the surface of the water. Then she saw what was really happening. A giant Pacific octopus with arms spanning approximately 1 meter had grabbed the bird from below and was pulling it under. Morneau photographed the attack for 53 terrifying seconds before the octopus submerged completely with its prey. She later described the experience as primal and gut-wrenching, saying the hair was standing up on the back of her neck as she watched.
There was an entire flock that came in from overhead, so they're overhead screeching and crying out.
She considered trying to save the bird, but realized it was already too late and far too dangerous to attempt. Her photographs made international news as the first widely documented photographic evidence of a giant Pacific octopus killing a seabird. Every octopus is venomous. The giant Pacific octopus delivers its venom through salivary glands that empty near its beak. The venom contains a paralytic protein mixture called cephalotoxin, along with tyramine, histamine, and several other chemicals. For prey, the effects are devastating. Crabs become completely paralyzed within minutes. For humans, the venom is not deadly, but still dangerous. Documented effects include bleeding that refuses to stop for 30 minutes, pain similar to a bee sting, and high risk of infection. The beak is a remarkable piece of biological engineering. Made of chitin combined with proteins, the tip is as hard as metal dental fillings, while the base remains soft and flexible. Bite force estimates range from 100 to over 200 pounds per square inch. Working alongside the beak is a tongue-like structure called the radula, covered with more than 100 microscopic chitin teeth that function like a miniature chainsaw. Tracking studies using sonic transmitters attached to 40 octopuses in Alaska revealed that larger individuals control territories covering up to 50,000 square meters, which is more than 12 acres of seafloor. Yet even across these vast hunting grounds, the octopuses remain motionless 94% of the time. They are lying in wait, invisible, patient beyond human comprehension, ready for the moment when opportunity appears. For all their power and intelligence, giant Pacific octopuses carry a secret that transforms everything else about their lives. They will live only 3 to 5 years. They will reproduce exactly once. And what happens during those final months reveals a sacrifice that has no equal anywhere in the animal kingdom. The ultimate sacrifice. Every giant Pacific octopus is born with a death sentence already written into its biology. Most will live only 3 to 5 years. They will mate exactly once in their entire lives, and after that single reproduction, they will die. There are no exceptions. There is no escape. The clock begins ticking the moment they reach sexual maturity. When mating season arrives, males seek out females and use a specialized arm called the hectocotylus to transfer a packet of sperm into the female's body. The female can store this sperm for months, waiting for the right moment to fertilize her eggs. When that moment comes, she lays an astounding number of eggs, typically between 50,000 and 100,000, though some females produce as many as 400,000. She attaches these eggs in long braided strands to the ceiling of her den, hanging them like clusters of grapes from the rock above. From that moment forward, her fate is sealed. For the next 5 to 10 months, sometimes stretching to a full year in particularly cold water, she will never leave those eggs. She will never eat, not once. Even if a crab walks directly past her den entrance, she will ignore it completely. Her entire existence becomes focused on a single purpose. She constantly blows water over the eggs with her siphon to give them fresh oxygen. She cleans them with her suckers to prevent fungal infections from taking hold. She guards them against any predator that might try to eat them. And slowly, day by day, her body consumes itself from within to keep her alive just long enough. Scientists have identified 4 distinct signs of the decline that follows reproduction. First comes the loss of appetite, leading to severe weight loss. Then the skin begins to retract around the eyes, giving the animal a hollow, haunted appearance. Activity becomes erratic and uncoordinated, with the octopus swimming randomly and bumping into surfaces. Finally, white lesions appear on the skin that refuse to heal and slowly spread across the body. By the time the eggs are ready to hatch, a female will have lost between 50 and 71% of her total body weight. She is a ghost of what she once was. The biological mechanism controlling this programmed death was discovered through a disturbing experiment published in the journal Science in 1977. A researcher named Jerome Wodinsky surgically removed the optic glands from brooding female octopuses. These glands sit on stalks near the optic lobes and function somewhat like a kill switch. When Wodinsky removed them, everything changed. The females immediately abandoned their eggs. They started eating again right away. They gained weight rapidly, with some doubling their body mass. Some even mated a second time, and they lived an average of 5.75 months longer than females whose optic glands remained intact. When the tiny hatchlings finally emerge after months of development, each one is about the size of a grain of rice and weighs just 22 milligrams. They drift away into the open ocean as plankton, and their mother dies shortly afterward. The father's fate is similar. After mating, he stops eating, begins to deteriorate rapidly, and dies within weeks. Only about 1% of hatchlings survive the initial floating phase. From a clutch of 100,000 eggs, typically only 1 or 2 individuals will survive to adulthood. The sacrifice these animals make for their offspring is absolute. But perhaps even more unsettling than their deaths is what researchers have discovered about their minds while they are still alive. These creatures think, they remember, and in laboratories around the world, they have demonstrated abilities that were once considered impossible for any invertebrate. The thinking alien. At the Seattle Aquarium, researchers gave a giant Pacific octopus named Billy something that was never designed for animals at all. They gave her a child-proof medicine bottle. These bottles are specifically engineered to prevent human toddlers from opening them by requiring you to push down and twist at the same time. On her first attempt, Billy took 55 minutes to figure it out. Nobody showed her how. Nobody gave her any hints. She simply worked on the problem until she solved it. With practice, her time dropped to an average of just 5 minutes. In New Zealand, an octopus named Ozzy set what appears to be a world record by opening a sealed jar in under 1 minute. A 2016 study published in the journal PLOS One tested octopuses on increasingly difficult problem-solving challenges. The researchers discovered something remarkable. Individual octopuses showed consistent, distinct problem-solving strategies. They were not using random trial and error. Different animals approached the same problems in reliably different ways. Some were methodical and careful. Others were bold and aggressive. These appear to be cognitive styles, suggesting that octopuses have something very much like personality. The most famous octopus escape in history happened at New Zealand's National Aquarium in Napier in 2016. An octopus named Inky, whose body was roughly the size of a basketball, was kept in a tank with a lid that had been left slightly open. Sometime during the night, Inky squeezed through the gap. He dropped to the floor and crawled 8 feet across the building. He found a drain pipe that was only 6 inches in diameter. He squeezed inside and traveled more than 50 meters through the plumbing until he reached Hawke's Bay and the open ocean. Staff found a trail of suction cup marks showing exactly the route he had taken. They never found Inky.
Octopus was able to work out that he could get out through a little gap in the lid.
Other escape stories are equally impressive. One octopus would leave its tank at night, cross the aquarium floor, climb into a neighboring tank full of fish, eat several of them, return to its own tank, and somehow try to conceal what it had done. Researchers have noted that octopuses seem to watch whether humans are paying attention to them or not, timing their escape attempts for moments when they are not being observed. A landmark study from 1992 demonstrated something that had never been proven in any invertebrate before. Researchers allowed untrained octopuses to watch trained demonstrators perform a task for a food reward. The demonstrators had needed about 17 trials to learn. The observers, who only watched, needed just 4 observations to learn the same thing. Octopuses can learn by simply watching others. What do you think about a creature that can think, remember, and plan like this beneath the waves? Share your thoughts in the comments below.